I want to do a talk on how I think what we're doing in a way is very similar to how the YCombinator was formed. And recently I listened to a talk by Paul Graham, and it made me realize a lot of similarities, because really, yeah, Paul had money. However, he really didn't have any experience of being an angel investor, right? We, on the other hand, don't have the money. However, you know, we don't have any experience on how the Open Incubator framework is going to work, right? So ultimately, what we're doing is creating and actually running FoundUps Corp through the Open Incubator as a way to validate it. So what we're trying to do is launch FoundUps Corp in a really unconventional way that goes against the grain of everything that startup does, or that has been developed for the startup. And really what we're doing is actually testing the same way. You know, he didn't know how things were going to happen or whatever, and they didn't want to throw a lot of money, so they did this, hey, let's throw out little bits of money, right? We're coming up with our own financial system, our own reward system, our own, you know, sandbox for playing, and so on. And there's a lot of similarities, because just as he didn't know the outcome, we really don't know the outcome. And you know, and it's exciting, you know, for in what may happen and what is happening. So I like the video that he did. The sound audio wasn't that good, and I've linked the video in here, and you can actually go to mtrout.com and, you know, or do a search mtrout.com for YCombinator, and you can see the post. But I want to talk about the qualities that he talks about as being required as, you know, as an entrepreneur. And not only that, another thing that he talks about, where YCombinator is not designed for the single founder. And he says something in there that if I wanted to get 10,000 enrollments, right, I would open up YCombinator to the individual founder. Now, the Open Incubator framework, our specific target and niche, what I realize, is those independent founders, right? Those individual founders out there who don't know how to get their project going. And what we're doing is actually providing the systematic schema or framework to help them launch it, and a manual that they can follow, right? And a platform that they can use that ties everything together. So one of the things that they're looking for is determination. And really what that is how bad do you want it? And that's really a great quality. I mean, I think determination, there's something called persistence too that he doesn't have, but I think determination and persistence go right together. You could have a really strong determination, but you may not have the stamina, right? Persistence is stamina. Determination is will. So I would put always will and stamina together in determination. And I think, you know, what I would say, for example, anyone who knows me knows I'm probably one of the most determined and persistent people they've ever encountered. To give you an idea, I mean, I've been struggling with Eduit for 4 years, and a lot of the team that I brought on, you know, which were volunteers, you know, 3-4 years ago, are no longer with me. They didn't have the persistence, right, or the determination, and other life activities or other things. People come and go, and that's human nature. And whether, you know, everyone has a certain willpower and certain stamina to do something, and it's very unique to find someone with a very strong combination of two. And really what ultimately what it does is it can exhaust folks. So we're looking for founders with extremely strong determination and persistence, stamina and will, okay? Determination is will, stamina is persistence, right? The next thing is flexibility, and flexibility really ties in with the lean startup with something known as pivots. And in today's day, you've got to be able to pivot, and pivoting is actually a really strong position of the small found up or the startup, because it means that you can move quicker than the larger competitions. Anyone that's larger that can't make a significant change in their direction without consequences. And to give you an idea of pivots, I don't know if you know, but I'm trying to think of, I'm trying to think of the name here. YouTube. YouTube was originally a dating site. So it was all about, they were thinking about doing dating videos, right? And it's funny because PayPal originally was for BlackBerry payment systems, and that was their focus. It wasn't online payments. So, the pivots are very important as part, and having the flexibility. And I've got a story. I mean, I had FoundUp's proof of concept pretty much developed last year. I had 2 developers that worked really hard, and what happened was I realized the direction we were going was wrong, and we needed to pivot and actually go with, well, the direction we're in now, which is really open to not just, we were focused with FoundUp's core. We didn't know what FoundUp was. We didn't have a definition of the startup. There was a lot we were missing, right? So we were eager beavers rushing ahead with foundups.com, and we built a platform for startups. Well, in hindsight, we're not startups, and it took me about 8 months to figure out what we were and what a FoundUp was. And had we gone down that road, ultimately, who knows, maybe we'd been successful. But here's an example: the developers didn't want to pivot. They weren't flexible. And I even tried to say, let's roll out 2 projects. Just I'll find other developers to work on this. We'll have 2, and they wouldn't even go. And I ended up having to basically walk away with FoundUps and say, well, go do your own thing, because we've got to encompass, and really was the junior entrepreneurs, right? We've got to encompass everyone, not just the startup guys. Imagination. And I really look at imagination as, can you think outside the box? And one of my favorite sayings to folks that know me is, I live outside the box. Being dyslexic, and I just describe dyslexia as kind of a wiring deficiency, or a creativity wiring in the brain. And the best way to think of dyslexia is, by the time your brain thinks it, and by the time it gets to action, right, it actually is interpreted in different ways. So the B's and D's, and you'll see my writings, I'm always, they're very frustrating every time I write. I want to say then, I write then, and stuff like then and all that. But ultimately, the other side too is really a dyslexic person looks at things in a very different way, because the wiring is different in their brain, right? They don't look at it from the traditional sandbox, right? So we live outside the sandbox, and to give you an idea of this, is when I use a platform, I'm always thinking, how can this platform be adapted to me, right? And what is missing? And foundups.com is all about really creating something that I desperately need as a as a user, right? That I can't get on Facebook, I can't get on LinkedIn, I can't get anywhere, right, on the web. It doesn't exist. So, I'm frustrated as a user because I want to be able to do certain things and I can't. So, and another thing about my background is I did a lot of game development back in college, where we created our own D&D type games and stuff like that, because we were frustrated that D&D we didn't like levels and all that stuff. So I've spent 20 years kind of being an architect without the official title, and not only that, doing a lot of Q&A stuff for free on beta games. I mean, I've been beta testing, I haven't in the last 5 years, but from you know, 1990, I don't know, 6, whenever Ultima Online came out, till about 2006. I did Shadowbane, was one of my last games I beta tested. You know, I've been beta testing games. So another quality that they have is naughtiness, and I'm a naughty boy. Let me tell you, naughtiness is, I look at naughtiness is your hackability, you know. And again, this ties a little bit about living outside the box, and because when you find a system, let's take LinkedIn. I do a lot of cool things on LinkedIn that you know, I take them to the extreme, and ultimately I caught the eye of LinkedIn customer service, and I let them know. I actually emailed the CEO, Jeff, and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. I want you guys support. But he had his head up his ass doing his IPO thing. I figure out now why he never even got back to you. I'm sure he was so busy, and he probably has so many emails coming in from LinkedIn users that he doesn't even answer them. And that's another thing. I think a CEO should answer every freaking email that comes in and at least respond to it. And I do. I was like, hey, thanks, whatever, great idea, get back to you, let's connect, whatever. You know, it may only be a line, but I will connect with everyone. Going back to naughtiness, though, I'm a naughty boy. I will basically set up accounts to fit me. Now, or I don't say fit me, but to fit FoundUps Corp. So every social media site that I set up, and I've got a ton of them, right, is set up with FoundUps Corp as the account, right? Not Michael Trout. And my point, you know, and these are naughty because these are in a way are violations of it, or you know, pushing the terms of agreement. I mean, Facebook, you know, I've had people, you know, say, oh, you're a corporate. No, my FoundUps Corp account, which has the name FoundUps Corp, is actually my professional private invitation only account as the CEO of FoundUps Corp. This is kind of like my friends and stakeholders of FoundUps Corp. They can unite. So no, it's not a corporate. We have a group for that. In LinkedIn, I try to set up FoundUps Corp as a profile, as a connection, and basically the account got suspended because they didn't like it, right? And the difference is you know, when they've got the IPO, they become all their, you know, their poop doesn't stink, sort of thing. So they miss the value in allowing folks to set up corporate accounts or promotion accounts or whatever. It's crowdsourcing. And LinkedIn, basically, I wanted to turn LinkedIn into a crowdsourcing platform. However, their vision is not a crowdsourcing platform. And that is why foundups.com is so cool, because we're actually the first purest crowdsourcing multimedia fun game platform. I mean, it is, you know, so it takes my gaming background. Oh, I didn't mention, you know, I spent some time at E3, you know, trying to become a game producer, and you know, so I've been, you know, that was Genesis Productions Worldwide. You know, I've been involved in imagination side of things. Plus, I'm a theater. I'm an acting student. You know, so and you know, I do some interesting naughty things with Gmail. And you know, pretty much quite a lot of places I've developed these little naughty tricks. I did a little naughty trick on I'll tell you a little. I'll share a little naughty trick. I did a little naughty trick with key referral. I hate the name because I'm dyslexic. And referral key referral. I don't know which is which. I mean, they're like having, you know, two first names. Very bad name. Whoever thought, very silly name. Blasé name, worst name in the world, but interesting idea, horribly executed, but they're probably going to make $1 billion. But I did an interesting thing with them, and I'm not going to say what it is. I will in the OIF manual, if you get the OIF manual, but basically my little naughtiness basically has secured us probably in one day around $23,000, and that was just yesterday. So my little naughtiness, and if you know me, if you got, you know, search for my little email. You got an email from me from that key referral, Michael, you know, from FoundUps Corp, right? And maybe you can figure it out. But I'll explain it in the manual, because I'm going to explain all these little tricks. you know, I believe I'm probably the most knowledgeable crowdfunding individual on the web right now, okay? I've been trying to crowdfund on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on different platforms. I've been doing, because I don't believe that we should have paid for crowdfunding. I'm a bootstrapper, so I'm going to go completely against this whole idea of paid. And and if Grow VC leadership, don't talk to me, because I've been saying that. I was like, why do we need Grow VC? Why do we need ProFounder? Why do we need Kickstarter? We got LinkedIn, right, who has the most 100 million people on it, and I was trying to get LinkedIn to go on a crowdfunding route, but they wouldn't. I tried to get something called create a tag kind of like Lion for crowdfunding on LinkedIn. Failed. A lot of different things. But I spent a year, I've been in this space, fucking around with this space for a year, working on things, and what I realized is we need foundups.com, right? We need the FoundUps Mall. The FoundUps Mall is going to have free crowdfunding. Free, okay? Kickstarter, it's going to be free, all right? So enjoy making the profits. Grow VC, all you guys out there, because our free crowdfunding platform is coming, and it's going to disrupt everything, right? Because just as Wikipedia is free, it kind of disrupts all the paid for Encarta, right? So I'm a naughty boy. I'm a very, very naughty boy. So and last thing, friendship. And friendship is a core vision, I would say, cornerstone of FoundUps, because FoundUps are hobbies. They're fun. It's about people coming together that have a passion for doing the same thing. Having worked all my life as pretty much self-employed, and having had that freedom, I've never had to really, I've had some jobs that I've not liked, but for the most part I've always worked for myself. I realized the real value of friends, and I want to be around and be around my friends. So the thing that I look for, especially, and I made this mistake in the first round, because one of the developers I brought on board, because as founders we're like dogs, and we're so eager for that for that next meal that we'll take food from anyone, right? And really, that person, I had a gut feeling I should have gone with it. So I want every person that I'm interacting with on, in my endeavors to be friends. And I want to apologize, because I think, again, because I have a different stamina level and perseverance level, and I realize that things take time. And a lot of people think they'll happen quickly, and they won't. What I learned with the Shakespeare Festival, when I did the Shakespeare Festival, the Southern Shakespeare Festival, I started in 2004 when I returned from, it wasn't until 2006 that we had our first production. Now, I had a touring company where we messed around, and I lost a lot of friends because a lot of those guys didn't end up being in the production, and they thought they would be, right? So I've learned a lot in and I've tried to be fair and equitable, and I write a blog called Be Good, because ultimately FoundUps wants to be good. Be good to the founder, the stakeholders, the crowdfunders, whatever. Be good to everyone. So friendship is a very important thing to me, and I want to be friends with my team, because I ultimately see this as a journey, and I want to be around people that I like. My name is Michael Trout. This is a 20-minute video here, and blame YouTube for allowing me to do long videos. But I hope you enjoyed this, because, what I'm doing, I think, is very important, and I think it's important to you. I think it's important to the web, and ultimately, what we're doing is leveling the playing field and empowering everyone to be successful.